بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الدين عند الله الإسلام صدق الله العظيم. Mr. Chairman and my dear brethren, Islam. See, among the religions of the world, we can safely divide them into two major groups. There is an Aryan set of religions and there is a Semitic set of religions. Among the Aryan religions, we would consider Zoroastrianism, Hinduism, Buddhism. Among the Semitic religions, we would say Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Now, in the verse I read to you from the Holy Quran, we are told that most certainly the religion acceptable in the sight of God is Islam. And again, we are told in the Quran, another place, وَمَنْ يَبْتَغِي غَيْرَ الْإِسْلَامِ دِينًا فَلَنْ يُقْبَلَ مِنْهُ وَهُوَ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ. That if they want a religion other than Islam, it will not be accepted from them. And in the hereafter, they will be of the losers. So the question arises, what about Judaism? What about Christianity? The Muslim says that there is no such thing as Judaism and there is no such thing as Christianity. These are invented terms. You see, if you look at the Torah of the Jews, or the Mishnah, or the Talmud, the word Judaism is not to be found. There's no such thing as Judaism in any of their holy scriptures. Then where does this term come from? Judaism. This is a concoction, an invention. Later on, long after Moses, you see the people watching the Jews in Palestine, in Judea, see, land of Judah, children of Judah occupied a piece of land according to the tribes. It was called Judea, and the religion followed by the children of Judah in Judea, they called it Judaism. Moses never heard the term in his lifetime. Judaism was unheard of. If Moses was here with us today, and if you could question him, "Oh Moses, what is your religion?" we do not expect him to say Judaism because he never heard the term. I expect him to say that my religion is a religion of total submission to God's will. And one word for that in the Arabic language is Islam. So instead of you going for a lengthy definition, one word succinctly describes that system as Islam. So we Muslims, we say the religion of Moses was Islam and he was a Muslim. When we come to Christianity, the same situation applies. See, Jesus Christ in his lifetime, he never heard the term Christianity. This word Christian, it occurs in the Bible. I think the first time it was used was at Antioch. The disparagers of the teachings of Jesus, looking down upon his followers, they pointed out, they said, these are Christians, meaning worshippers of Christ. And the Christian loved the term and they accepted it and they adopted it. But if Jesus in his second coming, if we could have the chance of asking him, "Oh Jesus, what is your religion?" we do not expect him to say Christianity. If he said Christianity, we would have a right to ask him, "What church do you belong to, sir? Are you a Roman Catholic or a Dutch Reformed Churcher or a Jehovah's Witness or a Seventh-day Adventist? What church do you belong to?" Which would be a ridiculous question. So we expect him to say that my religion is a religion of total submission to God's will. And one word for that in the Arabic language is Islam. So we Muslims, we say the religion of Jesus was Islam and he was a Muslim. And in the Holy Quran we are told that his disciples were Muslims, meaning those who submitted the will to God's will, not the followers of Muhammad. Muslim means anyone who submits his will to the will of God is a Muslim. And his religion is Islam, which means a religion of total submission to God's will. Now, in the world today, among the Semitic religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, we have three holy books. We have the Old Testament, which is actually the Bible of the Jews. We have the New Testament. The New Testament, everything after Jesus, New Testament, the Christians accept the New and they add the Old and make it the Holy Bible. The Old and the New put together is what they call the Holy Bible. The Old Testament is actually the Bible of the Jews. They stop at the end of the book of Malachi, they put a full stop, they don't want to know anymore. The Christian also does something similar. At the end of the book of Revelation, the Christian also puts a full stop, and he doesn't want to know anymore. He said, whatever God wanted to give, he's given to us in this book, the Holy Bible, the Old and the New Testament. The Muslim says that the revelation of God was further continued in this book called the Holy Quran. So, if you have the Old Testament and if you have the New Testament, the Muslim says we have got the last testament. Old, new, last. We say this is the last and final revelation of God to mankind. Now, Islam is the only religion after Christianity which claims to correct, complete, and supersede Christianity. Now, here is the challenge. You see, the challenge is that these are the only two really missionary religions on earth, Islam and Christianity. Both are trying to win the hearts and minds of people, trying to win them over to their way of thinking, to the revelation which they claim to be God's word. And as such, in history, a great competition has been going on between the Muslims and the Christians. We happen to be the closest. Islam is the only non-Christian faith which makes it an article of faith for its followers to believe in Jesus. No Muslim is a Muslim if he does not believe in Jesus. We Muslims are made to believe on the authority of this last and final revelation of God, the last testament, that Jesus was the Christ. He was the Messiah. We are made to believe that he was born miraculously, without any male intervention. We are made to believe that he gave life to the dead by God's permission, and he healed those born blind and the lepers by God's permission. In ethics and morality, we can both go together, hand in hand. The only parting of the way is, you see, when the Christian says that Jesus Christ is God incarnate, God in human form, because the salvation of the Christian depends upon believing that Jesus Christ is God. Because if he was crucified, which the Muslims say he wasn't, if he was crucified and if he had died as a man, he can't redeem mankind. One man can't carry the sins of the world. Therefore, he must die as a God. So they have to prove that he is God. They have to make him into a God. The Muslim salvation depends upon denying this, that Jesus is God. Because we are made to believe that no human being, no man how so great, can never be equated to God. According to the book of Job in the Old Testament, it is said, how then can man be justified with God? How can you compare any human being with God? So how can he be clean that is born of a woman? Meaning anyone that is born of a woman, a human being, can never be equated with God. So we say anyone, whether the name is of Moses, Jesus, Muhammad, Rama, Krishna, Buddha, anybody that a woman carries for 9 months can never be your God. This is a type of axiomatic truth we have taken from the Holy Bible. Now in the world today, the Christians are actually on the warpath against Islam. There was a time when they conquered almost the whole of the Muslim world, except for 3 countries nominally independent like Turkey, Iran and Afghanistan. The whole of the Muslim world was conquered by the Christians, and they ruled us in some places up to 500 years, like in Mozambique, 500 years they ruled us. And now almost all these Muslim nations, over 50 of them, have become independent. So now there is another type of invasion taking place, and that invasion is a crusading missionary invasion. You see, it's hard for people in this environment to know what's going on. But if I read to you the things, that the Christian missionary publications, like one here, Pray, it says every home crusade. Here is a Korean or a Chinese Christian. He's writing about the kingdom of oil, meaning the Arab countries. He says, I'm in Saudi Arabia, just left Kuwait. He has access to Saudi Arabia, he has access to Kuwait, which I, as a Muslim, it's not that easy for me to get in and get out. For me, as a Muslim, believe me. He says here, I could think of no better or no more important time to give a lot of our attention to the Muslim world than now. Now is the time. He says, only Indonesia, Lebanon, and Bangladesh can be picked up for any kind of substantial effort of evangelism. In the rest of the Muslim world, the gospel has scarcely been shared. It is very simply a virgin land, ready to be plowed. He says, preparation is underway in Pakistan. 68,300,000 people. For the last 2 years, we have been in contact with 6 key leaders in the Arab Muslim world to come up with a realistic and workable plan for every home crusade. This year, we plan to open a research center in Beirut, Lebanon, to start the preparation for the entire Arab Muslim world. And it continues, Arab Muslim world, Arab Muslim world. This is the target, the Arab Muslim world. And they adopt methods today. Today of the world's missionaries, I don't know whether you know, of the world's 70,000 missionaries, crusaders, evangelists, raising the dust in the world, 60% are Americans. According to Newsweek, 60%, I worked it out, 42,000 Americans are crusading in Muslim lands, mostly Muslim lands, in Bangladesh, Pakistan, in Africa. There are 35,000 occupied in Africa, Indonesia. 42,000 missionaries, evangelists, crusaders. So this is another type of war that's going on. You see, the colonial war with the gun is gone, but now this is one with the intellect now, with preaching. You know, opening up research centers, opening up hospitals in the guise of education. They are trying to brainwash the people to become Christianized.